Hey, what's up, Grace Kids? I am so glad that you guys are back with us again this week because we're finding out how we can stand and face our fears with courage. Now, you remember what courage is, don't you? Well, here it is. Courage is being brave enough to do what you should do even when you're afraid. Now, look, let's be honest. Sometimes we might face things in life that can seem pretty big and scary. And we might find ourselves in situations where we know what we should do, but we're just not sure we have the guts to actually do it. Well, the great news is that we don't have to face those things alone because we know for sure that God is with us. See, God can give us the courage to stand tall and do what we know is right. Now, I know each and every one of us has different things that we're afraid of. And right now, one of those things that you're afraid of is choosing the wrong truck to win. Yeah, you guessed it. It is time for Who Will Win. Let's go.
Everybody, start your engines. It's time to play Who Will Win? Monster Truck Edition. Choose your truck to cheer for. First, we have Red Flame. If you think Red Flame is going to win, let me hear you. Next, we have Blue Safari. If you are hoping for a Blue Safari victory, get loud. We also have Purple Guardian. If you think Purple Guardian is going to win, give it a shout. Lastly, we have Green Monster. If you expect a Green Monster win, let me hear you. It's time to race. 3, 2, 1, go! Make sure you cheer your truck onto the finish line. What a move! Watch out! We have a lead change. It's going to be a close finish. Cheer louder! What a move! Watch out! We have a lead change. It's going to be a close finish. Cheer louder! Purple Guardian wins by a nose!
Your ways are higher than all my ways, and your plans are wiser than all my plans. They see farther than mine. You know, your hand is reaching out for my hand. Yeah, you're good. Oh, my savior, you're good. You're so good. Yeah. So I trust, even when I don't understand. Oh, every step I take, every move I make, I will follow, follow, follow. Follow every day, yeah, yeah. So every single moment,
A great job, kids. Look, we're going to pause for just a moment so that we can have a word of prayer, and then we're going to sing one more song and then dive into today's Bible story, okay? Let's bow our heads together. Lord Jesus, God, we thank you for the day. We thank you for loving us, and we thank you for loving us enough that you sent your one and only Son to this earth for the sole purpose of living a sinless life so that he could die on the cross for our sins, so that we could one day put our faith and trust in you, so that we could have a forever relationship with you and live with you for all eternity in heaven and save us from our sins. And Lord, when I think about that, it just amazes me that you love us that much. And you made salvation so available and free to all of us. And God, I'm so grateful for that. And God, really, that's the whole purpose of this whole series of lessons that we're going through with the kids. And we started in Genesis, and we'll be going all the way through the Bible, just tying all of these stories together, because all of it is just showing your love story for humanity and how from the very beginning when we first sinned, when Adam and Eve first sinned, you had a plan in place to show us how much you love us and how you were going to make it available to us to have our relationship restored with you. And so today I pray, God, that you'll help the boys and girls to sit up and listen and lean in to what your word has for us today and how we can apply it to our lives and be better for it. And God, I pray that you'll give me your word so that we can clearly communicate this lesson to the kids in a way that they'll understand it and know how to apply it and live it out in their life. God, we love you. Thank you for loving us. And we ask these things in your name. Amen. You know, kids, the Bible tells us how awesome God is. And God's love for us, well, let's just admit it, it's so good. Psalm 136:1 puts it this way. It says, "Give thanks to the Lord because he's good. His faithful love continues forever." And you know, this Thursday, we celebrate Thanksgiving. Technically, we should celebrate every single day. I mean, we have so much to be thankful for. So right now, what I would like for us to do is with a thankful heart, let's sing and give our worship to God. Let's celebrate the amazing love God has for each and every one of us. So let's lift this song up together in praise to God.
Every time I'm feeling down, you pick me up. Sing, oh, oh. And when my heart is feeling emptied out, you fill my cup. Sing it out now. Oh, oh. I just wanna say thank you for the way you love me. I wanna say thank you for the way you love me. I just wanna say thank you for the way you love me. I wanna say thank you, just wanna say thank you. Yeah! T-H-A-N-K-Y-O-U, thank you. Thank you. T-H-A-N-K-Y-O-U, thank you. Here we go, verse 2. I'm grateful for the way you've been a friend to me. Sing, oh, oh. And even in the deepest, darkest night, you help me see. Sing it out now. Oh, oh. I just wanna say thank you for the way you love me. I wanna say thank you for the way you love me. I just wanna say thank you for the way you love me. I wanna say thank you, just wanna say thank you. every beat, beat, beat of my heart, for everything you are. I just wanna say, I just wanna say.
All right, so we've been following along with God's big story from the very beginning, all through every single part of the Bible that we call the Old Testament. Now, we've seen how God promises to bless the whole world through Abraham's family, the Israelites. Now, we've seen how God brought the Israelites out of slavery in Egypt, and he actually led them into freedom in the land of Canaan. Now, over the years, God gave the Israelites kings to lead them. And we talked about one of those kings last week. You remember King David. Yeah. Well, David wasn't king at the point when he won the battle against Goliath, but eventually he did become king over God's people. And David was one of the kings who listened to God, but unfortunately, many of the Israelite kings ignored God completely. Some of them even led people to worship false gods. Yeah, no good at all. But eventually, things were so bad that God allowed the Israelites to be conquered by other nations. And some of the Israelites were even taken into captivity to a place called Babylon. Now, that's where we'll pick up the story today, with one of those people who was held captive, a young man by the name of Daniel. Now, Daniel was one of the Israelites who had been brought to the land of Babylon, and Daniel truly, absolutely loved God. He prayed to God 3 times every day. He followed God, even though he was living in a faraway land. In fact, Daniel was one of the young men who the king of Babylon chose to serve in his court. But Daniel did something different. See, he chose not to eat the food of the Babylonians because it went against what was in God's law. See, God made Daniel strong and wise and gave him great success. Daniel went on to serve as an advisor to several kings over his lifetime. Well, eventually, and look, I've told you this every single week, we're fast forwarding over a lot of things in these guys' lives and a lot of details in between, but we can't cover all the details or we would never get through all these lessons. So this is where maybe you and your mom and dad can sit down and talk about some of those things, but we're kind of hitting some of the highlights for you, okay? So eventually there was this king came in, and his name was Darius, and he took charge. And King Darius decided to put 3 governors in place. And these governors would be in charge of 120 officials who would be in charge over the whole kingdom. So yeah, it was a big job to be a governor. Can you guess who King Darius chose to be one of these 3 governors? Yeah, Daniel. And that's not all. King Darius was so impressed with Daniel that he planned to put him in charge over the other 2 governors. But the other 2 governors were jealous that Daniel was now about to be in charge of them. So they tried to find something Daniel had done wrong so they could tell the king about it, but they couldn't find anything. So Daniel, he was just always trustworthy and always did things the right way. It doesn't mean he was perfect, but he was trustworthy. And these men figured that, well, the only way they could get Daniel in trouble was if they could find something he did because of his belief in God, something that went against the laws of the king. So these men said to themselves in Daniel chapter 6 and verse number 5, we want to bring charges against this man Daniel, but it's almost impossible for us to come up with a reason to do it. If we find a reason, it'll have to be in connection with the law of his God. Now, these jealous governors knew that Daniel prayed to God 3 times a day. And since Daniel was a praying man, the governors figured they'd ask the king to make an order that all the people had to obey. So for the next 30 days, no one could pray to anyone but the king. And if they prayed to someone else, they would be thrown into a den full of hungry lions. So Daniel was in serious danger here. King Darius wrote the order, which meant that it could not be changed, even by the king himself. Daniel heard about the king's new law, but he trusted God. He knew that God was with him, and that's what gave him courage. So Daniel did what he had always done before. He went to his upstairs room, and 3 times every day he took time to pray to God. Well, these 2 jealous governors could see that Daniel had broken the king's law. So they told the king. They were just 2 big tattletales. They went to the king and they told him that they had seen Daniel praying and reminded the king that Daniel had to be thrown into the lion's den. Well, King Darius was so upset because he didn't want Daniel to be hurt, but he felt like he had no choice. He had to follow the law. As Daniel was about to be thrown in with the lions, King Darius said to him in Daniel 6, verse 16, "You always serve your God faithfully, so may he save you." And then a stone was placed over the opening of the den, and Daniel was stuck inside with those hungry lions all night long. Well, King Darius was worried sick about Daniel, and he couldn't eat, he couldn't sleep. And at sunrise the next morning, King Darius hurried back to the lion's den, and he called out, "Daniel, you serve the living God. You always serve him faithfully. So has he been able to save you from the lions?" I kind of see Daniel scratching and yawning. Your Majesty, may you live forever. My God sent his angel, and his angel shut the mouths of the lions. They haven't hurt me at all. And that's because I haven't done anything wrong in God's sight. I've never done anything wrong to you either, Your Majesty. Amazing. Daniel was safe because God had protected him from the lions. I love it. King Darius had Daniel lifted out of the den, and everyone could see that he was unharmed. The king was so amazed at what had happened that he wrote a letter to everyone in the kingdom, and he ordered that everyone should respect and honor Daniel's God. And Daniel continued to serve King Darius, and because of Daniel's courage, everyone in the kingdom, well, they heard about the one true God. Daniel was able to stand even when the other officials were out to get him because he knew for sure that God was with him. Now, why is this story important for us? Because there will be times in our lives when we have to decide if we'll be brave enough to do the right thing. And in those moments, let's remember that we're never really alone. God's always with us. Matter of fact, our bottom line today, you can do what you should because God, he's with you.
Welcome to Story Lab. This week, we're talking about courage while we take a look at the story of someone who faced a pretty dark night. Oh, and don't miss this.
Hey, I'm Amaya.
And I'm Zeke.
And we're talking about courage.
That's being brave enough to do what you should do, even when you're afraid.
Even when something unexpected happens.
Unexpected?
How do you feel about the dark?
A little nervous. I mean, I can't see. Can we please have the lights back? Hey!
Lots of people don't like the dark. So I thought we could try something to make dark fun.
Oh, laser tag.
Pew, 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 pew. Or something kids can try at home.
Flashlight tag?
Pew, pew, pew. Or glow in the dark slime.
Oh, I've never made slime.
Me neither.
Alrighty then, let's make it. Okay, what do we use for this experiment?
All right. So we have clear school glue, water, baking soda, and glow powder. First, we put in the glue. Perfect. Next, we add the water. baking soda. And finally, we add the glow powder. So pretty. And now we stir. And make sure you stir really good. Come on, Zeke, put some muscle in it.
That is not slime.
Not yet, because we still need slime activator.
Saline. My mom uses that to clean her contact lenses.
It contains borate ions.
Glue is made of long chains of molecules called polymers that slide easily past each other. When borate ions are added, they cross-link the protein molecules in the glue so they can no longer slide easily past each other.
So, borate ions glue the glue?
Pretty much.
Cool. Let's see what happens. Slime, activate!
All right, I'll pour it, you stir.
I can already feel it hardening. So disgusting and weirdly satisfying.
I know, right?
Get the lights. Whoa.
Look at it glow. That is so cool.
Oh,
I want some.
it's all slimy.
Oh. So cool.
Oh, it's everywhere. Snot in my hands. Oh.
You're getting all of it. No.
Woo!
Ah!
Okay, the dark can be pretty fun.
Yes, unless you are joined in the dark by extra big, hungry cats.
Is that a spoiler?
Yes, it's time for...
The story before the story.
Today, we're in book 27 of the Old Testament, Daniel.
God had promised to bless the whole world through Abraham's family, the Israelites. God delivered them from slavery and led them to freedom in the land of Canaan.
God gave the Israelites kings to lead them, but while some kings like David listened to God, many of the kings ignored God.
These kings even led the people to worship false gods. And at last, God allowed the Israelites to be conquered by foreign nations.
Yeah, some of the Israelites were even marched off as captives to Babylon.
But one of these captives, a man named Daniel, still loved God and prayed to God every day. And Daniel is a hero of today's story.
Let's go!
Daniel was taken to Babylon as a young man, but even as a captive, he still stood up for the one true God.
We won't make ourselves unclean by eating the king's food. Test us for 10 days. Give us only vegetables to eat.
God blessed Daniel and made him strong and wise. That wisdom and courage gained Daniel a lot of respect, and he actually served as an advisor to several foreign kings over his lifetime. One of them was King Darius, who conquered Babylon. Now, when King Darius took charge, he placed 120 officials over the whole kingdom and put 3 governors over them. One of these 3 men was Daniel. Daniel was so trustworthy and did such a good job that Darius actually made plans to put Daniel in charge of the other 2 governors. So when these other 2 rulers found out about the plan, they were pretty angry. They decided to find something wrong with Daniel they could tell the king about. But even though they spied on Daniel, they couldn't find a thing he'd done wrong.
Not one single lie!
But Daniel does have this thing about praying to his God.
3 times a day like clockwork.
The jealous governors and officials perfected a sneaky plan and took it to King Darius.
King Darius, may you live forever.
You're so incredibly amazing. We think you should make a special command. What is it?
For the next 30 days, no one in the whole kingdom can pray to anyone but you.
I like it. And if they pray to someone else, they get thrown into a lion's den.
Well, where do I sign?
Oh, well, King Darius was so flattered that he gave orders for the law to be written down, and he signed it at once. And you have to know this. Once a law of the Medes and Persians was written down, it could not be changed, even by the king himself. When Daniel found out about the law, it would have been easy enough to change his routine and stop going home to pray every day. But Daniel's love for God was greater than his fear of lions. The next morning, as every morning, Daniel knelt in his room and prayed to God.
Thank you that you are always with me, God. Help me honor you in everything I do.
Daniel went to his room to pray again at noon and in the evening, even though he probably knew the other officials were watching him. And sure enough, they were delighted to find Daniel disobeying the king's law. Oh, they rushed after the king as fast as they could.
King Darius, didn't you sign an order that for 30 days no one can pray to anyone but you?
Huh? Oh, I did. Or they'd be thrown into a lion's den. Well, no one would risk it.
Except Daniel.
He still prays to his God 3 times every day.
When Darius realized he'd been trapped, he was very upset. He didn't want Daniel to be harmed, but even he couldn't find a way around the law. So at sunset, the king called for Daniel to be brought out and thrown in the lion's den.
Daniel, you always serve your God faithfully, so may he save you.
Then Daniel was shoved into the dark den, and a stone was placed over the entrance. Now, we don't know exactly what Daniel felt alone in that deep, dark place with prowling lions. But in the palace, the king was so sick with fear he couldn't sleep. As soon as the sun rose, he hurried back to the lion's den.
Daniel, you serve the living God. Has he been able to save you from the lion?
Morning sunlight revealed Daniel with the powerful lions curled up around him, tame as house cats.
My God sent his angel to shut the mouths of the lions. They haven't hurt me at all.
Oh, lift him out of the den at once.
Daniel was completely unharmed. The king was so amazed that he wrote a letter to everyone in the kingdom.
I order people in every part of my kingdom to respect and honor Daniel's God. He is the living God, and he has saved Daniel from the power of the lions.
Daniel continued to serve the king, and because of Daniel's courage, every person in the land heard about the one true God. The end.
A whole den full of lions. Daniel must have been so scared.
Oh, for sure, but he could look back on the times that God had helped him. He trusted God to be with him no matter what.
So, what's our part in this story?
Well, okay, maybe your mom told you to take the trash to the curb hours ago, but you forgot and now it's dark. It might be tempting to just skip it, but you can trust God to be with you while you do it.
Or maybe you have to give a book report in front of the whole class and it's your first time, so you're super nervous.
It would be easy to just tell the teacher you lost your voice and can't quite do it.
Yeah, but truth is, you can trust that God is with you even in front of the class.
Yeah, God knows we all struggle with fear sometimes. That's one of the reasons God gave us Jesus. When we believe in Jesus and follow him, we have God's Spirit to help us face anything that comes our way, from a book report to a barking dog to a mean kid.
I think we've got it.
Thank you, Brian.
See you next time.
So here's the thing. You can do what you should because God is with you.
Too bad Daniel didn't have this stuff to glow in the lion's den.
Yeah, I don't think you can ever get that out of big cat fur.
I don't think I'm ever gonna get it off my hands.
Thanks for joining us in the Story Lab. See you next time.
You know, Daniel's story is truly amazing, and it's easy for us to look back now and see how everything turned out okay. But think about what it was like for Daniel when all of this was taking place. The other officials were trying to get him to break the king's law, and Daniel knew that if he prayed to God, it could mean huge trouble for him. But he wasn't about to stop. Daniel trusted that God was with him, and he kept praying even when he was in the den with the lions. He knew that God had been with him in the past, and he knew that God was always there with him no matter what challenges he might have to face. And you know what? God is with us too. God can give us the courage to stand up and do what's right. So don't forget, you can do what you should because God is with you and God is with me. You might see other kids picking on someone or talking about them behind their back, and you think to yourself, someone should speak up for him or her. Well, you know what? That someone might just be you. Maybe there's a kid you know who seems like he or she is having a tough day. Well, you could talk to him or her and try to cheer him up, even if you don't know him that well. Or maybe you've done something that you know is wrong and you're trying to be brave enough to tell the truth about what happened, even though you know you're probably going to get in a lot of trouble. Those are some tough situations, and they require a lot of courage. And it's important to remember that God can give you the courage to do what you should. So remember, when you believe in Jesus and follow him, you have the gift of God's Holy Spirit. And God's Spirit can help us face anything that comes our way. So let's live like Daniel did. Let's trust God no matter what. And the one way that we can find to help us do that is by memorizing our verse for this month. Do you remember it yet? It's Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. It says, "Be strong and brave. Don't be afraid. Don't lose hope. I am the Lord your God. I will be with you everywhere you go." Kids, let's go out and have courage this week and remember that we can do what we should because God is with us everywhere we go. I can't wait to see you back here next week, but that's all the time we've got for right now, and you know the routine. Right hand up in the air, high five. I'll see you soon. Have an awesome Thanksgiving and a great week.